Selectors, and welcome back to the Lifers Podcast. I am Andrew, and here I'm talking about the new divas for Dissonance Diva, the Disona set, as I commonly call it. The Disona set's got basically two sets coming out. There's set 12, and then there's set 13. And both of them come together to basically make all these Disonas. That's what you can see. Everything's in Japanese. Oh my god, there's so many cards that are in Japanese, and we can't read them, except we can on the side here. So I'll go over all of them and what they do here. As in a second, but we did a poll on which one you guys wanted us to start with, and Dark Tama won first place. So we've got Dark Tama here, and we're going to be talking about Dark Tama. Ignore some of this stuff. I need to edit this. We don't have blue in it anymore. So we have Dark Tama here. Now, I have a gripe with Dark Tama, pretty much right off the bat, which is that it doesn't feel like a great or complete deck comparison to some of the other ones. Miko, and Yuki, and what's the last one I'm brain farting on? And Hanyo all feel complete as a deck, and then they get better with set 13. It doesn't feel like this deck is complete until set 13 comes out, but worry not. I have another version that is a set 13 version, so you can know where it's headed, I think, as well. You can go ahead and use this as an example until then. So you can play this version for now, which I think is the way to maximize it until you get to the next set, and then you can play this version, which I think is the better version. But I'll go over both of them. So the first thing to do with Tama is let's talk about what Tama does. We're using Dexus as a course in order to get a sneak preview into kind of what the sets look like. So Tama is got the constant ability of basically all the Disona Signy in your enter zone are black in addition to all their other colors that they can be. So that's a pretty cool thing and very specifically important for this build. The next thing is because the action. Once per turn, you can pay black. If there are two more Disona on your field, you can target Signy on the opponent's field and put it into the owner's trash. So the goal is to have Disona on the field and then pay black, which basically is colorless in this deck because you're running so many Disona and everything is black for yourselves. So every turn you're going to be trashing one Signy. That's kind of an important distinction to make than what your normal abilities would be, because trashing the opponent's Signy means that they don't get the enter from it, and in combination of its partner Signy, which we'll talk about in a second, you're going to be basically trashing two Signys a turn, and that's going to allow you to really hammer down a lot of a lot of lane opening, but also a lot of ability to really mess with the opponent's resources. Its last effect is you can exceed 4. Then you get to target 3 Disona in your trash, put them directly on the field, which means that you get some sort of you can toolbox a little bit with your trash, which is generally speaking things that black decks like to do in general. Let's actually, just before we even talk about any of these other cards, go immediately talk about what the partner Signy does. So partner Signy here, Destro, has the following ability. If I can get it to stay up. It's a level 3 black Signy with 10,000 power that says, at the beginning of your attack phase, target one of the Signy on your opponent's field. And it gets negative 3,000 for each black Signy on your field, which happens to be all of them, mind you, because of Tama's ability. All the Signy in your enter zone and field are black. So you're basically always getting a negative 3,000 with this. Then its enter effect is if you have a Tama on your field, target one Signy in your opponent's field. When it would be vanished this turn, it gets put into the trash instead. So the cool thing with this is you actually could target something that's bigger than 3,000 and trash it when you attack it with combat damage, and you can give them the enter for their level 1. Just a little bit more flexibility that's kind of worth it in the card. But the big thing being is that this, at the beginning of your attack phase, you're doing a free negative 3,000 on your opponent's field, probably trashing the Signy. Okay, so the important thing is now we want to maximize every turn, basically saying, without fail, every turn we're trying to trash an opponent's Signy and also trash another opponent's Signy with our partner Signy. And in black, there's ways to do that. That's what we're going to try to maximize. The first things that shout out to me when I'm reading this card and that sort of game plan is that I probably want to be a mid-range deck because I don't aggro is too short of a time for me to really get a lot of value out of this. This is a better deck if we were to take a longer time to do the job. I don't think it's necessarily a control deck because it doesn't stop damage, and it also doesn't help us with card advantage except for that one exceed action, which can give us a field, right? But even then, we're basically using that when we don't have a hand, right? Where it's our get out of jail free card basically there. So we have to think about how we're going to structure this deck. And the things that shout out to me immediately is I need enter and I need cards. In order for a Wixoss deck to be successful, I need to have a constant flow of cards, and I need to have the enter provided to me in order to do the effect. So my thoughts there are green for enter, at least at the beginning. The thing that I've decided to do is Mel. This will get us some enter on the level 1, which will help us later down the line. It also gets a specific enter, which is kind of nice. And then we also get ourselves a Mel. This is a great support card. Mel's ability to always be able to block X amount of damage will help us out. Mel Invisible's always been a great card. So that's what we're doing for as a side card. Once I'm decided I'm probably locked into green and black in this, which I am also because for other reasons in the main deck, I should point out there's reasons that I'm locking into those two color combos here. I start looking at what I can do to really make my pieces work strong. And there is the thing that gives S-Lancer, enter charges you a little bit, and then also gets you a little bit of cards. I actually like Colorful Wish more. Colorful Wish was not used previously very much because it wasn't great previously. I mean, it was okay. But now with the theoretical color breaks that we have available to us, moving into this set, we have the ability to do all three of an effect. And Colorful Wish means that for just one enter, we can get the ability to bring a guard back to our hand, we can bring back a level 3 and a level 2 to our hand, and then we also can vanish target Signy with power 10,000 or less. So we are getting a defense with the guard, we're getting back a lot of offense with the 2 black Signy that we're going to be bringing back to our hand. Sorry, it doesn't have to be black Signy. Level 2 and level 3 Signy. And we're also going to be able to open up a lane 10,000 or less, which is great. So between the Tama's ability to trash any Signy on the field, and then the our Destro's ability to get specifically 3,000s off the field, we are left with one more probably bigger Signy that's going to be there, or medium-sized Signy, so 10,000 actually covers that. But the level 3 scooping back helps us, and the level 2 scooping back helps us. Specifically, to just jump right into the main deck, and then we'll go back to the last assists. Getting ourselves back Bang is really nice, as it gives us a way around Exia, because it's got the ability to put a Signy in the opponent's enter zone, but it doesn't target. So it pops a hole open that's a non-Exia hole that kind of helps us out there. And it also is just a very powerful card on itself, something I was really interested in playing. We can bring back an Umir, which just basically does also the same thing. On attack, we can open up lanes. This deck's really pretty good at opening up lanes. Notably, we can bring back a Donna if we need just extra damage. Donna allows us to do extra damage as well. And then for our level, is there any other level 3s? Clearly Destro, right? That's what we were talking about, is also getting Destros back. Basically, this deck's goal is to always play Tama and a Destro out together. Maybe Tama and 2 Destros out. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. It also gets you back level 2s. Namely, in the level 2 slot that's really great here is Ivy, which gets us an enter charge, which helps us pay for future costs, which is really nice. Notably, we don't get it in time to pay for our level 3 Tama, but we get it in the future, so it helps us pay for future costs. It also lets us get, I forgot the level 3 here, it lets us get a mill. So we have, with the ability to bring back from our trash so many times, you can actually pretty sufficiently use this in order to get 2 or 3 mill things from this, which means that you should be able to get 1 refresh. But the really cool one that we can get back is specifically this one. Kajomika. That's the first time I'm saying that word out loud. It has the ability to down, pay a black, and then we can put a level 3 Disona from our trash and put it into the field, which again gets ourselves back a Destro. So with just Colorful Wish, you can get back a level 2 and a level 3, and then you get back this card, you can down it, bring back another level 3, and if you had full board, full assists grown, you just have an entire board there. It's pretty good, guys. So that's the reasoning between us using Colorful Wish. Then the other piece that I'm interested in playing for specifically this deck, it's not my favorite card in the world, but I think it actually really works well here. I'm not usually a fan of pieces that you have to pay an enter for to basically get some cards out of your trash, especially like tribal cards out of your trash. I just think that there's better ones. Ultra Superheroes, for example, digs deeper and gets you more effects than just that. But this deck specifically, and Disona in general, are so greedy about having specific Disona that Dissonance, the piece, actually can kind of help you get to where you need. Again, recurring specific pieces of this deck, toolboxing that you need. This is, again, why I think this is best as a mid-range deck. And then following it up, I also have Anj here. This is a bounce target level 2 or less. And then this one bounces anything for 2 enter, and you can pay black, and you can bring a black card back from your trash to your hand. Sadly, Tama doesn't make the entire trash black as well, so you can't just pick anything. But there's still a lot of good black cards that you'd want. Like, you'd want to grab this to bring back, your Destro. Or something else similar to that. You can bring back this to basically bring back anything that you're looking to bring back to your hand. Maybe a Donna, maybe a Bang, maybe the mill tactics. So there's a lot of choices here. Plus, being able to bring back literally any 2 Disona with this means that you can also bring back your level 1s. Which, let's talk about the level 1s, right? That's the last thing we need to talk about before we really finish out this deck. So we're toolboxing a little bit with this deck. Not only are we toolboxing with our literally almost everything in the Elrig department toolboxes, a lot of our life bursts do it as well. So this one, for example, puts target Signy in the enter zone, and then we can put it onto the field. The Monkey's Paw doesn't do it, right? Yeah, that's just an opening. But this one does, however, do it. Life Burst, target 1 Disona in your trash, and then add to your hand or put it on the field. So we get some things there. So we've got 4, 5, 6. It's not a small amount of things that can put stuff directly into the field. And these things also bring it back to our hand, so that helps with toolboxing. With that, we want to think about effects that could potentially we could abuse that, and of course, the best things that we can do to abuse that, especially in the Disona sets, are just aggression, right? So Musica has the ability of when you enters, you can put a Disona card from your enter zone into the trash, and then you can target a Signy, give it negative 3,000. Firecracker's even more insane. Its enter ability is you just discard a Disona from your hand, target 1 Signy on the opponent's field, and give it with power 5,000 or lower and vanish it. So between the 2 cards here, Musica and Firecracker, you end up with a really, really, really solid base of just being able to do aggression. And again, that extends us to the level 3s. The level 3s all basically can deal damage as well. So we're pretty heavily in this mid-range sort of like do at least 2 damage on the field, 1 damage with your Elrig, which ends up being 3 damage per turn, and that's sort of a hallmark of a mid-range deck. We've got some spells that do it as well. We've got Black Aura, gives negative 3,000 for free, and then also worth mentioning that we have Palebi, which is an interesting Signy. I actually don't love it, but it has an enter effect in its Disona, which is that you can target Signy on your opponent's field, make it lose its abilities till end of turn. With Disona coming out, there's a lot more abilities on Signy, especially abilities on Signy's that trigger off of attacking. So Palebi ends up being good in those decks that are able to pop things on the field during the opponent's turn, especially with the life bursts. So that ends up being, fairly good. The rest of the life bursts in this deck are all pretty aggressive. Like this one, just vanish target Signy 2 or less from the opponent's field. So that ends up rounding out our sort of aggression stuffs, and Palabi really just sort of pushes us into defenses as well, like we should talk about. We are running not a ton of black. So let me just go ahead and pop this open. We are running 19 black cards. It's enough to run all these black effects, especially because our center has the ability of giving ourselves black, so we are able to pretty efficiently pay for costs on these things. But there are some other things to consider, which is I did want to put some more black cards in here because there was just some solid ones, right? And this deck loves its black cards. And this one, which is called Monkey's Paw, this one's also a really good one. When there are 3 or more Disona cards in your trash, which basically there always will be in this deck, this thing gets plus 5,000 power, which means that it is a 7 power. It's a 7k. It's got the ability to put the top 3 cards of your deck into your trash when it enters. So it basically almost always triggers itself to be a 7k even as early as turn 1. And then also we've got Nova over here just to help out with the this a little bit. Disonas struggle a little bit in terms of making sure they have enough life bursts, so that's one of the reasons why Monkey's Paw ends up actually being pretty good in this specific deck, at least until set 13 rolls around and we get more freedom of what we can choose with life bursts. Set 12 just on its own doesn't have a ton of life bursts to choose from, so you're sort of like stuck making maybe some optimal choices. Nova ends up being a really good card here too, because basically it says at the end of your turn, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Disona, which it usually is, you end up with plus 5,000 power, which means it's an 8k. So you end up with this deck that has 3 8ks and 4 7ks on turn 1, right? And then turn 2, it has a 5k, which is not super great. I will admit that the 5k is kind of weaker there. But this is an 8k, right? So you do have 4 8ks that are available to you. This ends up being a core that's a little meta resistant against werewolves and musicas and firecrackers. This musicas, firecrackers, werewolves, these are basically going to be the menaces of the Disona set. They're the reasons you want to run Disona. It's just because they push you into such a powerful lane opening at such a low level. It means that your level 1 utility slots end up being a lot more useful than they used to be. Nova and a Monkey's Paw are a way to sort of get out of those rat races if you're up against decks that are going faster than you. So this can play, again, the mid-range strategy of, do I want to play defensive or do I want to play aggressive? And you can swap between the two of them. Overall, I think the deck is strong and definitely could be utilized well. I think it's a little slower than some of the other Disona options out there, which is why I don't particularly love it over something else. But that changes in set 13. So I do want to just give you a brief example of what set 13 looks like. Set 13 introduces a new card for you, which is specifically Unknown Chance. Now, Unknown Chance has basically, if you haven't grown this turn, so it's after level 3, if you go on your 4th turn or your 5th turn, you can use this card. You flip it into Unknown Miko, Mayu Unknown Miko, and then it does pretty strong effects. Let's go ahead and just let's just pop into here, let me find that real quick. Card search. I'm in the Japanese version of the site right now. Yes, I am a giraffe. And then I gotta turn on the English because I don't speak Japanese. Booster 13 and search. Great. So yeah, this is Unknown Mayu. Unknown Mayu, let's translate it. Has the ability to basically, it is a level 4 L-Rig with the limit of 7, which means that you can actually fill out level 3 fields with this, but you're probably not, because I think you don't win if you don't win on the turn that you grow to this. It has the ability of you place one card from under this L rig into the L rig trash. All of your opponent's Signy lose their abilities still on a turn. AKA, it kills Exia and some other defensive stuff, so it allows you for a really aggressive push there. And then you also get an additional turn after this. So you get in turn to a strike and with no crackback, and then your following turn you can only have up to one Signy on the field. So you've got to trash if there's any extra Signy, which means that you get one more L-Rig damage in and one more Signy damage in, and that is very strong. So the idea here is you're no longer a mid-range deck. You are actually a pretty aggressive deck. By being black and then also being able to play the next best black assist in the game in Machina, you also get to, because this is a dream team, you have to pick another thing to go with it. So your choices were really limited to Go to the Top, Super Celestia Saber, or Unknown Memory. And Unknown Memory is fantastic. It's one of the few times where it's like, all right, we've got to pay off for running a double colored deck. Unknown Memory, which comes out, by the way, in this set, so set 12, you get the ability to choose 2 of these effects. You can either target a level 2 or lower and vanish it. You can draw 2 cards, or you can enter charge 2. So you can do any combo of 2 of those, which is great. So you can draw 2 cards and enter charge 2. You can't draw 4 cards, for example. So anyways, the idea is now that you've got this kind of I win button here with this piece and just transforming and getting an extra turn for swinging, you're trying to end this game a lot quicker. Here's the entire deck list. You can look at it in your own time if you'd like. Oh, yeah, the token's there. I could have looked at it there. You can look at this in your own time. The idea is basically that you're trying to push more damage than you used to be a little bit. So there's some more stuff in here. You pushed the mill plan a little bit sooner. You're pushing, there's your sort of mill plan. You're pushing more damage output than you used to be. This is more aggressive too in this front. And then the strangest card in this deck here is actually these, which I believe they're called matchas, right? Yeah, matchas. They get you the ability to discard a Disona, freeze a target Signy, and then you get to draw a card. This just lets you trigger Exia early if you need to, and more importantly, it lets you filter your hand, and also has a life burst. It's really it's really as simple as that. I took out the walls because I just didn't think they were needed anymore, and I just wanted to get to the point. The point being dealing damage here. I feel like this deck could probably do with maybe a werewolf or 2 in the deck as well. But I decided to go with the mill instead. You could take out the mill, I suppose, if you wanted to do that kind of thing. But this is sort of what I think the evolution of this deck will end up being. Let me know if you guys are excited about Tama and about what it does, and let me know what your plans are if they're any different than mine.